Southern California, good afternoon, and welcome to another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Today we have ourselves quite a show, as we have a lot to get into in the world of Southern California sports, such as the Chargers beating the Rams. Honestly, yeah, they won, but it's just preseason. I am not going to get overhyped because the Chargers beat the Rams and they scored a lot of points. I do not care. No one's going to hypnotize me into thinking that the Chargers are world beaters just because they dropped 30 plus on the Rams. No. Anyway, but that's what happened last Saturday, as the two teams are back at it in preseason this week. Also, how about those Dodgers? They are just on fire, having won 11 in a row. My goodness. Take note, Padres and Angels, who are just clinging on to dear life when it comes to the wild card race. Is it too late for them? I feel it is. And unfortunately, LAFC lost a 2-0 lead in the League's Cup tournament to Monterrey, as sadly their tournament run came to an end. But at least they have the MLS Cup to focus on. And hey, at least they don't have to worry about playing too much soccer outside of the MLS. Also, Monterrey High School in Santa Ana kicks off a new era tonight against Corona Centennial, as they usher in the Frank McManus era, following the Bruce Rollinson era. All that and more, here on the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. This is Teran Rodriguez, bringing you another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show, here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. And welcome one, welcome all to another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Thank you all for joining me on this beautiful Friday afternoon, Friday morning, Friday wherever you are listening from. Either way, you've made your way into episode 145 of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. And without any further delay, let's get started. But first and foremost, the SoCal Supreme Sports Show would not be where it's at without IE Sports Radio providing the platform to go live on Spreaker. Please do follow IE Sports Radio on TikTok, formerly known as Twitter, now known as X, and Instagram at IE Sports Radio. Also do follow them on Facebook. All you just have to do is type in the word IE, then sports, then radio, then see the icon, like them, and then boom. That's how you're basically able to follow IE Sports Radio on Facebook, if you still use Facebook. Also, IE Sports Radio has a website, www.iesportsradio.com, and when you go there, make sure to check out the latest in sports with all of our shows, including this one, and also check out the daily updated website for sports news, the IE Sports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month, pages dedicated to each of our podcasts, our IE Sports Radio community forum, and stop by the merchandise shop. Because for the past 9 years, we have brought you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel, dedicated to building tailor-made shows to all major sports cities around the country, and to all major sports around the world. Make sure you are following us, and because we have a lot of big things ahead of us in the near future. So please do follow IE Sports Radio. We've got a lot more content on the way, so please do not miss out on anything. And thank you for all of your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that sports. And also, huge shout out to Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, who is the single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, low sugar, and high in protein. This is some of the best jerky you can get your hands on, and for a limited time, It will satisfy your hunger and needs. And I'm just going to say this right now, and just to stop right there from my perspective, it is definitely the bomb. As Larry B puts it best, Planet Jerky is the bomb. Once again, huge shout out to our sponsor, Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet. And on this topic, I will give out my Big W awards, as Planet Jerky deserves the Big W award, as I actually tried the Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky from Larry B, who sent me some of that delicious jerky, and it was really good. It actually filled me up quite nicely. I'm not the biggest jerky guy, but if I ever get jerky, I will definitely eat it, and this really satisfied me and filled me up. The spicy one was really good. It's like, it was very spicy. At first it wasn't, and then it had that kick to you. I don't know if you've seen the Shaq Spicy Chip Challenge, but at first it's not hot, and then it basically gives you that kick. So, or not the Spicy Chip Challenge, the Hot Ones Challenge. But regardless, it's both. It was actually both, because Shaq actually can tolerate hot foods, and then it eventually comes back to punch him in the mouth. Not literally, but figuratively speaking. So, Big W award goes out to Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky and Larry B for sending me that jerky. It is delicious. Or it was delicious. Alright, now let's get on to the sports. But I did need to give that Big W award out. I'm going to be giving out quite a number of Big W awards. So, yeah. So first and foremost, we have to go over Chargers and Rams. Sadly, I could not watch this just because, unfortunately, my TV provider couldn't allow me to watch the Chargers versus the Rams. That will be discussed a little bit later, but for right now, I didn't miss much with this. So, for the Rams and Chargers, let's just get this out of the way. I'm not a preseason guy. If you try to get me hyped up about the preseason, I'm not going to get overly hyped. Like, if the Chargers win by, 30, I won't care. If the Chargers lose by 30, I won't care. I mean, I wouldn't say I won't care if they win, but I'll just say this. All I care about in terms of preseason is player health and player development. If the players are progressing and they're healthy going into week 1, that's all I care about. So as for the Chargers-Rams game, the Chargers wound up winning 34-17, and long story short, there was something that did happen, which was quite nice. Darius Davis actually had an 81-yard punt return touchdown, which was very nice. And I kept trying to tell you, Darius Davis is actually ridiculously good. And yes, Larry B, it is a glorified scrimmage. It's just all of the reserves going in. Now, if you want to play your starters, do so, but do so at your own risk. Because if you lose your starter to an injury, kind of like what Brandon Staley did with Mike Williams in a meaningless Week 18 game against the Broncos, which eventually wound up costing Mike Williams the wildcard game against Jacksonville, yeah, you won't have your player for Week 1. So, but Darius Davis did show off his wheels. He is actually going to be... He is listed as a wide receiver. However, he is going to be on kickoff returns and punt returns, which I think is pretty cool. And he does have that burst of speed. And I did discuss this on 3 and Out, 8 Divisions in 8 Days with Larry B, saying Darius Davis is so fast. Like, if he gets that next gear and takes off, he's gone. So he was kind of a little bit of a steal for the Chargers in the draft. And he also hails from TCU. So there's that right there. And then also Quentin Johnson caught a touchdown pass. I mean, again, it's just preseason. I'm glad Quentin Johnston is basically getting some reps before the season starts. So there you go. And that was in the first half. And in the second half, Elijah Dotson, undrafted rookie, basically managed to have himself a game in the second half. He actually had 2 touchdowns, one from 37 yards out, one from 40 yards out. he actually made a name for himself, as it looks like he might, hence the word might, have made himself a roster spot for himself. Larry Roundtree, unfortunately, did get waived, but he could be back on the practice roster, so yeah. Davidson Crook says, didn't the Chargers take a wide receiver in the first round? That is Quentin Johnston. That's the guy they took in the first round. That's the guy from TCU. So that's who Davidson is referring to in terms of the wide receiver in the first round. But Elijah Dodson is the undrafted rookie that the Chargers signed to their training camp and basically is trying out for a roster spot. And he really impressed. So Elijah Dodson could actually vie for a running back 2 spot. Now, the running back 2 spot is obviously so up in the air. I mean, you have Joshua Kelly, who, I'm going to eat a lot of crow for this. He actually was not bad. I've given Joshua Kelly so much flack just because of his previous fumbles in his past years, in his first and second year with the Chargers. But he was better, and I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. He was better, and he was a decent, red zone running back. And then you also have Isaiah Spiller, who the Chargers drafted last year. He hailed from Texas A&M, and he only had 3 fumbles in over 1,000 carries, which I thought was impressive as well. So the running back room looks very decent for the Chargers. And also, Kellen Moore is a better offensive coordinator than Joe Lombardi. No longer will we have to see Justin Herbert throw check downs and whatnot, as Kellen Moore is going to run the ball more, and we'll probably get to see more Justin Herbert use his legs. Now, obviously, that's dangerous for the Chargers quarterback to do so. However, it'll open up more playbook options for the Chargers, just because you don't want Justin Herbert just throwing it away and whatnot. So, and then Keenan Allen is having himself a fantastic camp, which I know it's just training camp, but it is what it is, and he did have a one-handed grab yesterday, which was fantastic. My goodness. So, for Keenan Allen getting up there in age, he's aging like fine wine, and honestly, I really think he is going to be gearing up for, I wouldn't say a comeback season, but he did miss half the year last year, so I hope Keenan Allen can have himself a big year, just because he is getting up there in age, but honestly, I feel maybe he still has a lot more gas in the tank. He won't have to deal with Jalen Ramsey, because Jalen Ramsey of the Dolphins did get hurt. Obviously sucks, but it is what it is. He's not out for the season, but he's still out for quite a bit. He may have to deal with Xavier Howard, or, heaven forbid, Eli Apple, or whoever. I feel they signed someone else. They signed someone from the USFL, but either way, that's the Dolphins. I'm not going to talk about the Dolphins. I'm going to talk about the Chargers and their preseason game. So, yeah, anyway, the Chargers won 34-17, and we actually got an amazing moment in that game, which I talked about last Friday. The Chargers had Max Duggan, the quarterback from TCU, playing against Stetson Bennett, the quarterback from Georgia, and the two quarterbacks actually played against one another in the college football championship at SoFi Stadium back last January. Or was it February? Either way, it was back in the college football season. So the two quarterbacks actually got to face one another again, this time in the NFL preseason. And many people were speculating that as coincidence, or the NFL was really scripted. But I basically was talking about this last Friday. I basically said, who knows, maybe we'll get Max Duggan facing off against Stetson Bennett. So, yeah. So, but again, it's preseason. Let's not, hit the oh my goodness, this is the goated matchup and that we all have been looking for. And I guess I should talk about the Rams, as Stetson Bennett was actually solid. He had a touchdown, 191 passing yards, went 17 for 29. And I don't want to say this is bound to happen, or heaven forbid this happens, but in the event where Matthew Stafford does get hurt, Stetson Bennett will be the guy to take over for Stafford and the Rams. Not that I wish for that to happen. And Christopher Lehman, one of the hosts of the Extra Mile, pops in and he says Stetson is a GOAT. And he also says he is also eligible for Social Security next season. Yeah, he is also up there in age, so that's quite amazing. And he is a 2-time national champion for Georgia. So for the Rams, obviously it wasn't the game that they were hoping for, but again, it's preseason. They will not die for this. As Royce Freeman caught a touchdown pass, which was the only touchdown pass, and then, or actually, Royce Freeman ran one in for a touchdown. Puka Nacua was the one that caught the lone touchdown pass for the Rams. Now, Puka Nacua is actually pretty darn good. He's a wide receiver, and he was one of the wide receivers that I was discussing last week for the players to watch for in the scrimmage regarding the Rams. So, for Puka Nacua, he could be a sneaky good wide receiver for the Rams, just because the Rams don't really have anyone of depth outside of Van Jefferson and Cooper Kupp. And that's actually a perfect segue to go to Cooper Kupp, which honestly, everyone is saying, oh my god, Cooper Kupp hurt his hamstring, this is serious. No, it's not serious. Cooper Kupp will not be playing in any preseason games, and he doesn't need to, it's just preseason. Now, if he does somehow play in some preseason games, then I want Sean McVay fired immediately, because that's the stupidest idea ever. And if he has to get held out in training camp, then so be it. I really think that Cooper Kupp will be ready for week 1. As long as he takes it easy in training camp and practice, I think that Cooper Kupp will be ready for for week 1 against Seattle. So, but back to Puka Nacua, I think this guy is solid, and I really think he could be something special for the Rams. The Rams just need to give him that shot. I mean, they also have Ben Skoranek as well, which that could also be trouble as well. Tyler Johnson led the Rams in receiving yards with 70, as his longest catch was 34 yards. So good stuff on his part. Austin Trammell had 36 yards. And Brett Ripon and Stetson Bennett both split time at quarterback, but clearly Stetson Bennett is the better of the two. And he is indeed a GOAT, and Stetson Bennett should be quarterback 2. Please make the correct decision, Sean McVay. And then for the Chargers, Max Duggan and Easton Stick split time at quarterback, as Stick was the man who basically was in charge for the most part, while Duggan only got 3 attempts, where he went 2 for 3, and he only had 19 passing yards. So, yeah, I wish he could have had more, but gosh dang it, Brandon Staley, why do you got to do this to us? All I wanted was one half of Max Duggan facing off against Stetson Bennett for a full half, but you have to rob us college football fans, and TCU fans, and Georgia fans, and everyone else who's a college football fan, but I digress. Alright, but all in all, it's just preseason, but I'm happy we got to see this, except I didn't, because blackouts and whatnot. Thanks, world. Anyway, so the Chargers are back in action on Sunday when they play the New Orleans Saints, which they've had joint practices with them, and again, I haven't gone to any of the joint practices. I don't plan on it, but again, it's just preseason and it's just training camp, and for the most part, again, Keenan Allen is having himself a great training camp, which is great stuff. Again, player development is so key, just because we're getting so close to the NFL season. I think we're about 20 days until the first game of the NFL season between Kansas City and Detroit. But as for Saints Chargers, yeah, I can't wait to see what transpires between those two. And it's going to be played at SoFi, which is cool. But honestly, again, it's just preseason, so I don't really want to get overly sucked in. I'm not going to cry if the Chargers lose, and I'm not going to throw a party if the Chargers win. So there is that right there. And then as for the Rams, they are back in preseason action tomorrow when they face Raiders! I'm sorry, I had to do it like that. But yeah, they play Raiders tomorrow at SoFi Stadium at 6 p.m. But for real, they do play the Las Vegas Raiders at SoFi at 6 p.m. So that should be quite the interesting matchup. I mean, the Raiders kind of thumped the you-know-what out of the Niners, but again, it's preseason. And thanks, Larry. I'm glad you like my Berman voice. But that game will be on Saturday at 6 p.m. And I'm surprised that SoFi is getting both LA teams in one weekend. So I guess that's pretty cool if you ask me. But all in all, I guess I have no complaints. So both teams from LA are basically in action this week at SoFi. But then the following week, both teams are on the road as the Rams are getting the Denver Broncos, and then the Rams are at the Denver Broncos, and then the Chargers are at the San Francisco 49ers. As Larry says, the Raiders suck, but that was awesome, referring to my Berman voice. And then he says, us with our Italian Derek Carr. I don't even know if Italian Derek Carr, Jimmy Garoppolo, was going to play, as Aiden O'Connell, I imagine, is going to get the start. And I imagine it's going to be Matthew Stafford Jr. taking on Aiden O'Connell, or AOC. But all in all, I think it's going to be a nice little matchup right there. It's obviously not going to be like the Thursday night football matchup between the Raiders and the Rams, but it is what it is. It's still preseason, and it still gets us hyped for the up-and-coming season. But again, it's nothing to get overly hyped about if your team wins and your team loses. My number one rule when it comes to preseason football: do not get too down on the losses, but do not get overhyped on the wins. Or better yet, do not hit the panic button on the losses, but do not get overhyped on the wins. That is my number one rule when it comes to NFL preseason football. There you go. All right. I hope that's a good rule for you all. If you all don't agree, then I totally get it, but it's totally truthful. I really don't think people should get overly hyped on the NFL preseason in terms of like wins and losses. Again, player development and basically health is all that matters to me in terms of the preseason, but I digress. Anyway, so that is that for the NFL in terms of the Rams and the Chargers. As Larry B says, we traded a Civic for a Corolla. Same car, different brand. Oh my god. Larry and his puns in terms of Derek Carr is just amazing. I think Larry B's shooting for another Big W award. Alright, but that's going to do it for the NFL. Jumping over to the MLS. Unfortunately for LAFC, they kind of went, do I dare say it, Larry? They kind of went full Raiders against Monterrey in the League's Cup quarterfinals, as they wound up losing 3-2 in the quarterfinals. As Christopher Lehman says, in preseason, I like to see the Bengals lose the first game. You see who takes it personally versus who don't. Yeah, that's pretty much what I like to see. I pretty much agree with that. And no one is going to sucker me into wins and losses. And yeah, that's pretty good, Chris. Anyway, but back to LAFC. They wound up losing 3-2 to Monterrey. And believe it or not, they actually had a 2-0 lead. So the scoring began in the second minute when Dennis Bouanga scored a penalty kick in the second minute. So already it's 1-0 LAFC. And then 40 minutes after that, Metzus Boogs Bugus, sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, he scores to give LAFC a 2-0 lead, and eventually it's 2-0 LAFC at halftime. So everything is looking real good for LAFC, right? No. Monterrey manages to score off of a penalty kick, courtesy of Sergio Canales. So suddenly LAFC is only up 2-1. And then 12 minutes later, Sergei Palencia scores an own goal. So now it's 2-2. So, okay, LAFC, you might want to actually stop playing like the Galaxy. And then 8 minutes following that, Rogelio Funes Mori scores the game-breaking goal for Monterrey as Monterrey wins it 3-2 as Monterrey advances to the semifinals, where they eventually lost to Nashville 2-0, which made me sad face. As Nashville eventually gets to face Miami in the Leagues Cup final. So, sadly, LAFC picked a bad time to run the LA Galaxy playbook in the second half. Yes, I went there, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry, but it's the truth. I can't say I'm overly heartbroken by this, but how do you lose a 2-0 lead? Normally, I don't even remember the last time LAFC blew a 2-0 lead. In a 2-0 halftime lead, for that matter. So, LAFC, I'm a little surprised by this, but, it is what it is. At least they don't have to, cancel games. But I think their schedule would have worked out had they made the final. So, I'm just disappointed by this loss. I'm not disappointed in them losing. I'm just disappointed in how they lost. You just can't give up a 2-0 halftime lead. So, the good news is that they now could just rest up and they basically just wash the loss off. As now they're back in MLS action this Sunday, believe it or not, as they host the Colorado Rapids at the BMO Stadium. I'm going to still try to get used to saying that, just because I like Bank of California Stadium. Either way, LAFC hosts the Colorado Rapids on Sunday at 7:30 p.m., which honestly, here's the thing. LAFC is the second best team in the West, while the Rapids are the worst team in the West. This game should be relegated to the Hallmark Channel, if not Nick Jr. Actually, no, not Nick Jr. I don't think adults should let their kids watch that. But either way, if LAFC finds a way to lose that one, I think that Monterrey loss is probably affecting them. But all in all for LAFC, they just can't underestimate Colorado, which they shouldn't. So all in all for LAFC, they're back in MLS action, which I think is cool. But as for the Galaxy, they too are also back in MLS action after a long break from getting thumped by Lyon and they played Vancouver. They played Vancouver, which it's two of their last three losses. Go figure. So the Galaxy are also back in action on Sunday at Dignity Health Sports Park against Real Salt Lake. Now, last time I saw Real Salt Lake was against LAFC, which was in the Leagues Cup round of 16, which got thumped by LAFC. Now, Real Salt Lake gets to play the other LA team, which shouldn't be that tough. The only reason why the Galaxy got the better of Real Salt Lake was because I just don't think Real Salt Lake was prepared. The second time around, Real Salt Lake had a better understanding of what to expect from the Galaxy. Now I think it's going to be tough for the Galaxy. Yes, the Galaxy have the luxury of playing at home as opposed to playing in Sandy, Utah. But I will also say this. The Galaxy suck. Real Salt Lake has gotten so much better than the first go-around. If you all remember, Real Salt Lake, I think, was 9th back when the two teams met in those back-to-back matches. But now, Real Salt Lake is up to 3rd in the Western Conference. And they're right on the coattails of LAFC for that second spot. The only difference is that LAFC has played one less match which is giving LAFC the slight edge over Real Salt Lake. So, honestly, for the Galaxy, they ought to prepare for the longest match of their season. I say that loosely because I've been saying that quite a bit for the Galaxy, just because, again, they have been complete dog water. But that's an insult to dog water, because I think that could have done I think that dog water could do better than the Galaxy. But I digress. But at least they got rid of Chris Klein. Silver lining, Galaxy fans, Klein is gone, and you no longer can get hurt by him. So, it's almost over, Galaxy fans. You've only got 2 carry the 3 minus 4. 12 more games left until this whole season is over. Then you can go wondering what's going to happen in the offseason. Alright, but that is going to do it for the MLS portion of this show. Jumping on over to the NWSL. The NWSL is officially back in action. Yay! As the NWSL Challenge Cup is officially, I wouldn't say in the books, but it's officially done for Angel City and San Diego. It's been done for them just because they never really had a shot at making the final. As Angel City is hitting the road to Louisville to take on, I want to make sure I get this right, Racing Louisville FC. I can never get that full name right. I just don't want to say Louisville FC. It's Racing Louisville FC. So, as we all know, Angel City has not lost a match in over 2 months, which you got to remember, ever since ditching or firing Freya Coombe, their former head coach, it's been quite phenomenal to see. So, honestly, for Angel City, I just can't believe that they found something that what's their face, that we all didn't see when it came to Freya Coombe. I don't believe it. So, either way, they're back in action against Louisville, and I'll just say this. If they keep playing like this, I think they might actually have a shot at making the playoffs. Because, again, they have not lost in over 2 months. And Louisville, they're in the hunt for that top 6 spot. So, it's obviously a crucial matchup for Angel City. However, Angel City is also in the hunt for that top 6 spot. And they need to win just as much as Louisville does. Like, Louisville is right on the coattails of San Diego, while Angel City is a little bit farther, but they're still right within striking distance. Looking at the rest of the matches, there's only 4... let me do my math a little bit better. 7 matches remaining in the NWSL regular season. And then after that, it's basically that for the regular season. So, if Angel City wants to basically make the playoffs, they're going to have to continue their winning ways, which I will be quite impressed if they manage to make the playoffs despite having to fire their head coach, because Becky Tweed has done wonders as their interim head coach. And again, I have to wonder, is she going to be the head coach officially, or is she just going to be the interim coach, or is she going to apply as the head coach, and then Angel City FC is going to have to do a full-on interview and then possibly work her way up to get that head coaching position. So it all depends. But Becky Tweed has done wonders as the interim head coach, so she really wants that interim tag removed, and she wants to be the head coach. So we'll see what happens, but all in all for Angel City, they have Louisville this week or tomorrow. Then they have OL Reign next Sunday, which OL Reign is top 6. They're 4th in the league. And then Angel City also has Kansas City, and then they also have Chicago, then Orlando, and then they close out with Houston and Portland. Now those 2 matchups are going to be really tough. I mean, Houston, not so much, but Portland is really going to be tough. So, Angel City, they have their work cut out for them, so they're going to have to start winning or continue to win. I mean, they're not losing, but at the same time, they might need to start winning. Now, for San Diego Wave FC, they have not won a match ever since 2 months ago. So, ironically enough, they have not won a match ever since Wave FC or Angel City FC fired their head coach. Their last win actually came on Sunday, June 4th, when they beat Gotham 1-0 on the road. They've just had this slew of bad luck when they wound up either tying or losing. I'm just very surprised they wound up losing that match to Angel City, which was actually an NWSL match. Not an NWSL Challenge Cup match, but an NWSL match. So, Wave FC hosts Gotham Saturday at 7 p.m. Now, for Wave FC, they really need to start getting it together when it comes to their wins. I mean, they're still in the top 6. However, this is not the Wave FC I envisioned. And they're only 5 points back of North Carolina. But again, this is not the Wave FC I saw that was going to be the team that everyone expected them to be. I think that Wave FC has been in a little bit of a lull, which honestly, I feel this is not the Wave FC team that everyone expected them to be. So, for Wave FC, they've really got to step it up. Otherwise, they could be out of the playoff. Could be out of the playoff hunt. Or out of the playoffs entirely. They've got Gotham Saturday, and then next Friday, which is a short week for them, they've got Orlando. And then in September, they've got Houston, Kansas City, and Portland, which for Portland, that's going to be a tough one. Houston's also fighting for a playoff spot. Kansas City is at the bottom of the barrel, so they have to win that one. And then October, they've got North Carolina and Louisville. Louisville is also fighting for a playoff spot, and North Carolina is at the top of the food chain. So for Wave FC, they've also kind of got their work cut out for them. But for Wave FC, as long as they can get some wins against the winnable teams, they may have a shot. Heck, even ties are definitely good, but they have to get wins to balance out those ties. Otherwise, they might not be able to survive in terms of the bottom 6. So, all in all for Wave FC. And also a good thing is that they are getting some of their players back. Same can be said for Angel City, as I think one of the replacement players for Angel City is Elizabeth Eddy, who, fun fact, she actually went to my high school, and she graduated 1 year earlier than me. So, yeah, Snapple fun fact right there. But anyway, for Wave FC, yeah, they really got to step it up in terms of their wins and losses. Otherwise, the playoffs won't include them. And for Angel City, they're doing great, and they have not lost in over 2 months. But now they got to start winning. I mean, they've made sure they have not seen a loss, but that's only winning half the battle, especially since most of those wins were basically in the NWSL Challenge Cup. So we'll see what happens. And Angela says, let's go Courage. I forgot the North Carolina Courage is your team, as Jen B, the host of the Show of the Land, our Cleveland show, pops in the chat room. She says, hey, Teran. Hey, Jen B. Glad to see her in the chat room. Angela also says, Liz is an amazing person. She used to play with the North Carolina Courage when I worked there. Awesome. That is awesome to hear. And Angela is also awesome, as she does a lot, and she used to also work for the North Carolina Courage, and I think she also used to work for the NWSL altogether, but all in all, she did have some stints with the North Carolina Courage, which is really cool. I just know that she's not the biggest fan of Alex Morgan, so I am assuming she's not the biggest fan of Wave FC. But I digress. So that's basically going to do it for Wave FC, as Wave FC better start winning tonight, because that's kind of their gut check match, as Gotham is a fairly good team. There's a reason why Gotham went from bottom of the barrel to now top 3 this year. Like last year, they were bottom of the barrel. Now this year, they're top 3 in the NWSL, and they are actually 1 point behind North Carolina. It's so log jammed from 1 through 5. And then you've got San Diego, which is 21 points, which can't win a match for beans. So San Diego better strike sooner rather than later, just because they may not get another chance soon. So we'll see. And yes, Angela says she cannot stand Alex Morgan. I'm sorry for bringing her up. I'm sorry. But back to Angel City. They've also got Alyssa Thompson, who is the youngest player on the team. And like I said, Elizabeth Eddy is now on the team. And then they should have a majority of their players back, because that Angel City team was a walking IR. And now they have a majority of those players back. So that is something really good for Angel City, because if they can't stay healthy, then they are all but screwed when it comes to possibly making the playoffs. But all in all, I feel that they still have a shot. Like Angel City definitely still has a pulse. It's just all about if they can get the wins instead of like ties. But we'll see. But that's going to do it for the NWSL portion of the show. We are going to take ourselves a commercial break. When we come back, we have some MLB to discuss. We've got some more Big W awards to hand out. We'll try to discuss a little NBA as the schedules were released. And we've got a little WNBA. And we've got the Dum Dum of the Week. So keep it locked here. You are listening to the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. We'll be right back after this.
Hello, everyone. My name is Daryl Kinsey Jr., and I'm welcoming you to take another lap with the fastest show on IE Sports Radio. Yes, this is the Extra Mile with me and my co-hosts Christopher Lehman and Michael Ward. We talk everything racing from NASCAR to IndyCar to Formula One to limited hydroplanes, endurance racing, the NHRA, and more. So come join us for an hour of great racing talk and a lot of fun as well on the Extra Mile, Thursdays at 8 p.m. only on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
College football, and do you want to hear a college football show dedicated to all that is college football, including junior college and the CCCAA and the NJCAA, the NAIA, and the NCAA, including Division III, Division II, Division I AA in the FCS, and Division I A in the FBS? Well then, look no further. Join myself, Larry B., and my colleagues, Mr. H-Town Blake Henley, and Mr. Christian Espinoza, each week during the college football season for the latest in college football on 3 and Out College Edition, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's good, everyone? It's Drewski, the host of Heart of Texas Sports on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. On this station, we cover everything in the Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas area, from where we cover the Dallas Cowboys, the Dallas Stars, Dallas Mavericks, Dallas Wings, Texas Rangers, TCU, SMU. We cover it all right here every Wednesdays from 9 to 10 p.m. Central Time. Make sure you stay live with me on the Heart of Texas Sports on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey there, sports fans. Are you looking for a sports show that maybe isn't 100% about sports?
Then you might want to check out the Sports Couple Perspectives right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Most sports shows cover only scores and stats, and while we're not opposed to that, we dig a little deeper into sports issues and some of the hottest topics in athletics.
In addition to sports, we take a journey through my neck of the woods, pop culture, with movie reviews of both sports and non-sports films.
Speaking of pop culture, make sure to participate in our game nights, where we quiz each other on our specialties, and you, the listeners, can win IE Sports Radio apparel.
We always have a great time learning more about each other's worlds, one show at a time.
So join us each week on the Sports Couple Perspectives, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome back to the second half of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. Check out all of our amazing shows, especially the Sports Couple Perspective with Larry B and Cecilia B. That will be going on later today. You won't want to miss it. There will be lots of coffee tasting, pop culture, sports, and all sorts of things all across the board, including new sound effects like Yahoo! I will never do that again. Especially when Larry's in the chat. Anyway, on to the second segment of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Anyway, so going to MLB. Composure, Teran. So it's been a walking funeral home for the Angels as they can't beat anyone of significance. While for the Dodgers, they can actually beat anybody and anyone. And for the Padres, they're just there. So for the Angels, I don't know how to say this. It's just been absolutely bad. So last Friday, Saturday, Sunday, they lost 2 out of 3 to the Astros. They lost Friday and Saturday by scores of 11-3. Yes, they lost both of them by 11-3. And then on Sunday, they salvaged a win, beating the Astros 2-1 by some sort of miracle. And then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, they managed to beat the they played the Texas Rangers, where they lost 2 out of 3 against the Rangers, where Monday's game was a complete nightmare, as they wound up getting one hit by the Rangers, losing 12-0, 12-0. I was very unimpressed. That's just sickening right there. And then in Game 2 on Tuesday, the Angels lost to the Rangers 7-3. At least they didn't get shut out, and at least they had more. At least they had more than one hit. And then on Wednesday, the Angels managed to actually play baseball as they actually had themselves a no-hitter going through 7.5 innings, which was very impressive. Unfortunately, the no-hitter went bye-bye in the 8th inning, as I imagine a lot of people jinxed the Angels, which sucks. But fortunately for the Angels, even though the no-hitter went bye-bye, the Angels managed to beat the Rangers 2-0, which was very impressive, as they got a home run from Shohei Ohtani, and they got an insurance home run from Matt Tice, which was great stuff. Surprisingly, Reed Detmers got the win, which I want to say he was the one that nearly pitched the no-hitter. Yes, he was the one that nearly pitched the no-hitter. He only allowed 1 hit altogether, which was very good. And Texas only got 3 hits on the whole night altogether as well, as the Angels nearly angeled that one, but they wound up winning. Speaking of that game, I also want to give another Big W award out to my brother, Justin Rodriguez, as for those of you that do know, my brother was actually kind of my co-host for this show when he used to live in California. Now he lives out in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, as that was actually his first ever Texas Rangers game, and he actually got to see the showdown, pun intended, because that was Shohei Ohtani hitting a home run. He got to a bird's eye view in center field, which I think was pretty cool. So, honestly, that was great that my brother was a good luck charm, and he brought home an Angels victory. I mean, the Angels kind of need more than one win, but at least my brother got to see the Angels win, considering the Angels have been so droll ever since the trade deadline. For a team that kind of went all in at the trade deadline, I don't think they went all in enough. I'm just saying, y'all. Anyway, so for the Angels, they are back at it tonight as they head back to the Chavez Ravine after their Texas 2-step, or their Texas 2-6-step, as they host the Tampa Bay Rays tonight at 6:38, and then Saturday and Sunday. And then Monday, they welcome in the Cincinnati Reds, who are also fighting for their playoff lives. And then they have next Thursday off, but then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, they welcome the New York Mets, which is kind of going to be their only breather matchup, as that's kind of only going to be their easy matchup. As and they also got the Oakland Athletics to start September. So there's that right there, but all in all, to end off August, that's kind of their only easy matchup in terms of the MLB, or in terms of August. So if the Angels really want to make the wild card, or take the wild card spot, they actually have to beat a team that actually has some significance. At least take 2 out of 3. 3 out of 3 would be really good, but I'll just say this. The Angels just can't seem to beat anybody, or at least take 2 of 3 against anybody that's really good. So, yeah, honestly, for the Angels, it's just not looking good. And yes, Jen, the A's can't win, but the Angels cannot play the Oakland A's, or soon to be the Las Vegas A's, every single night. So I wish that could be the case. Then the Angels would be in playoff contention. But that is not the case. So as for the Dodgers have been red hot, as ever since they beat the Rockies 2-1. They actually swept this 4-game series against Colorado, as they took last Friday's game 6-1, last Saturday's game 4-1, and then last Sunday's game 8-3. And then Tuesday through Thursday, after they got a day off on Monday, they managed to take all 3 games against the Milwaukee Brewers. That was kind of a statement series, as Milwaukee is a pretty good team that is fighting for good playoff contention, as they took the first game 6-2, they took the second game 7-1, and then they took yesterday's game 1-0, as, believe it or not, the Dodgers only mustered up 4 hits compared to the Brewers' 5, but courtesy of Austin Barnes solo shotting the ball to, I think, center field. Regardless, him hitting a solo shot, the Dodgers managed to win that one and basically complete the sweep over the Milwaukee Brewers. So it was actually the left field. So either way, the Dodgers managed to win 1-0 over the Brewers, which is very impressive. They've won 11 in a row. For a team that didn't do much at the trade deadline, the Dodgers look really good. And they are not slowing down for anybody in that NL West. So good on the Dodgers for basically not, slowing down. My only concern is this. Are they peaking too early? I hope they're saving their wins for the postseason, because I really don't want the Dodgers to win a lot in the regular season and then they just collapse in the postseason. Basically, I don't want the Dodgers to go straight up Peyton Manning, without the championship rings, of course. So, for the Dodgers, I hope they're not peaking. I really want them to actually win in the postseason, and I don't want them to have a major collapse like last year, because if they do, then the Dodgers could be the New York Yankees of the National League. So, we'll see. Right now for the Dodgers, they have a 3-game series at the Chavez Ravine against the Miami Marlins. Tonight, tomorrow, and Sunday. Then they have Monday off, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, the Dodgers will hit the road to the land to take on Gen B's Cleveland Guardians. And the next Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the Dodgers will be playing the Boston Red Sox, who are fighting for a wild card spot in the American League. Has Clayton Kershaw has not beaten the Boston Red Sox, so this is his chance to beat the Boston Red Sox. So, and he is pitching on Sunday, August 27th. Please win that one, Kershaw. I would like to see Kershaw get the win in that one. And by win, I mean actually win and not have someone pick up the save. But we'll see. All in all, that's going to do it for the Dodgers. And yeah, going over to the Padres. Look, for the Padres, there's nothing that needs to be said about the Padres. They just straight up stink. Except they actually took 2 of 3 against the Orioles, which wasn't bad. But last Friday when they played the Diamondbacks, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, they wound up losing 2 of 3 to the Diamondbacks. Last Friday they wound up beating the Diamondbacks 10-5, and then last Saturday they wound up losing 3-0, which they only mustered up 5 hits. And then Sunday they lost a heartbreaker, and by heartbreaker I mean they actually were leading 4-2 in the top of the 7th inning, and then they lost that lead, and sadly that was it for them. So, tough luck for the Padres. That has kind of been their season in a nutshell for them. But against the Orioles, they looked rather impressive. Maybe it's just because they needed to get back to Petco Park, as they lost the first game on Monday 4-1, and then they wound up winning the next 2. On Tuesday, they won 10-3, and then Wednesday, they wound up winning that one 5-2, which was good. And then they started a 4-game series against the Diamondbacks yesterday, which they wound up losing 3-1, which, yeah, that's no bueno. But it is what it is for the Padres. I mean, the Padres are certainly not going to catch up to the Dodgers, but losing to the Diamondbacks is not good, because now you're falling even further back of the Diamondbacks in terms of the wild card, as the Diamondbacks are in contention of the National League wildcard spot, as they are 1 game back of the final wildcard spot, which is not good for the Padres. Padres are 5 games back of the final wildcard spot. And that final wildcard race is heating up. You've got the Cubs, Marlins, Reds, and Diamondbacks all vying for that final wildcard spot. And then for the Padres, Well, actually, I gotta say this. Remember when the Diamondbacks were leading the Dodgers in the National League West? Yeah, that has kind of flipped upside down for them. And it sucks because I kind of wanted to see the Diamondbacks have success, and now they are basically seeing everything get flipped upside down on their head. So, poor Diamondbacks. I know this is supposed to be SoCal Supreme Sports Show, but I personally have a soft spot for teams that have been struggling to make the postseason in recent years. And the Diamondbacks are no exception. And I like seeing original teams make the playoffs and not the same teams over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. So we'll see what happens. But for the Padres, time is running out. They are a whopping 58-64. As the Padres, like I said, they still have the remainder of their 4-game series against the Diamondbacks. Then Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, they host the Miami Marlins, which is huge right there in terms of the wild card. And then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, they hit the road to Wisconsin to take on the Milwaukee Brewers, which, I mean, is also another crucial series, just because the Brewers are really good, and they're also going to be a playoff team, so time will tell to see if the Brewers will, spank the Padres, but hopefully that won't be too bad, but it's probably going to be a not-so-fun series for the Padres. But that's going to basically do it for the MLB portion of the show. Jumping on over to the WNBA, so the Sparks are actually giving me a little bit of optimism, as, who am I kidding? They're still not that great, as they did manage to pull off a win over the Atlanta Dream, as they wound up winning last Saturday 85-74, which was awesome. That's actually probably one of their better wins out there, as Jordan Canada led the way with 20 points, and she had 8 assists in the win, which is very good. And then elsewhere, the Nneka Ogwumike had 17 points. Laishia Clarendon had 16 points, and then Azura Stevens had 15 points. So that's basically your leaders right there. Carly Samuelson almost cracked double digits, but sadly she was 1 point away from basically cracking double digits. But it's all good, as the Sparks did manage to win that game, as, believe it or not, the Sparks are right there with the Chicago Sky. They're actually the same record with the Sky. Unfortunately, since Chicago has won more times against the Sparks this season, Chicago has the tiebreaker. But at least the Sparks are giving me a little bit more optimism about their season in terms of making the playoffs, as the Liberty wound up winning the Commissioner's Cup, so they're in the postseason. The Las Vegas Aces are in the postseason, so yeah. Anyway, speaking of the Las Vegas Aces, that's who the Sparks play tomorrow. That's going to be a tough matchup, especially since it's on the road. I don't even know if the Sparks, or if the Aces haven't even lost at home, so this is going to be one tough matchup. And it's going to be on national TV via ABC, so yeah. And then on Wednesday, the Sparks return home to take on the Phoenix Mercury. And then next Friday, the Sparks hit the road to the ATL to take on the Atlanta Dream. So there is that right there for the Sparks. And hopefully for their sake, they can keep up the wins. But honestly, it looks like they'll probably go 1-1 by the time we have another show. By the way, quick note. The SoCal Supreme Sports Show will probably be on Thursday, just because Friday I'm working, and then also on that Friday I have to go to Long Beach State for the Long Beach State Women's Volleyball season opener against the reigning NCAA Women's Volleyball champion Texas. So there won't be a show next Friday, but it'll be on Thursday. So it's probably going to be Thursday, if not Saturday, but I'd probably bank on Thursday, just because of work and all that. Work. Gotta love it. Anyway, so that's that for the WNBA portion of the show. As I guess we'll talk a little bit of the NBA as the Lakers and Clippers release their schedule. And I'm not really into NBA mode right now, but it looks like the Lakers and Clippers are only playing each other 3 times, which I thought division opponents played each other 4 times, but maybe they've scrapped that and now they've shuffled that around, which I've always found that quite weird, but maybe I'm just still stuck in the old school because I'm an old fool. Either way, the Lakers open up the regular season against the Denver Nuggets, or the world champion or reigning champion Denver Nuggets, which, man, that's already brutal right there. So it's going to be a real tough one for the Lakers right there. Of course, they got the Nuggets of all teams. Like, why couldn't they have gotten? I mean, I guess it beats playing the Clippers, who they have struggled against, and maybe the Warriors. Oh boy! And then it looks like for the whatchamacallits, for the Clippers, they open up their season against the Lakers, as they don't open up their season. I don't think they open up their season the same day as the. Oh, no, they do. They do. They actually open up on the 29th, as I think they don't open up on Tuesday. They open up on Wednesday against the Portland Trailblazers. I'm looking at the first game of November, as they play the Los Angeles Lakers. So that's cool right there, but playing the Trailblazers, talk about getting an interesting first opponent. Their first 4 opponents are rather winnable. They've got the Trailblazers, even though Damian Lillard is still an unknown of where he is going to be at. Then you've got the Utah Jazz, which heaven knows what's going on with that science experiment. Then you've got the San Antonio Spurs, which the Victor Wembanyama experiment is still an unknown process. Then the Orlando Magic, which, yeah, I don't know how that is going. So realistically, and then, yeah, I mean, realistically, the Clippers could go 5-0 to start, but time will tell. But that's pretty much enough about the Clippers and Lakers. I'm not going to go too much into the NBA, just because I don't want to give out too much, but honestly, I am kind of looking forward to what the Lakers and Clippers can do. And Austin Reeves is still enjoying being with the U.S. team, or whatever Team USA team he is with, which I think is awesome sauce. And before we dive on into Dum Dum of the Week, I do want to give a huge shout out to, and another. I will actually want to give 2 more Big W awards out. I actually want to give a Big W award out to the Chicago Bulls. Now, you're wondering, well, why would you give something that's not SoCal a Big W award, Teran? Who are you, and what have you done with the real Teran Rodriguez? Well, if you saw the Chicago Bulls schedule release video, it was rather creative. It obviously referenced Pokemon, and I'm kind of a Pokemon fan. Pokemon, it is what it is, but I'm kind of a Pokemon fan, and it was very creative on the Bulls' part. So 100 out of 10 if you ask me, Chicago Bulls. Well done. So good job on that. You get the Big W award, in my opinion. And then I also have to give the Big W award out to all the SoCal teams, whether it's the Lakers, the Clippers, the Sparks, the Angels, the Dodgers, the Chargers, the Rams, all the SoCal teams that are basically in partner with the the American Red Cross, as every SoCal team is partnering up to basically donate $450,000 to the American Red Cross, as it's not, like I said, it's the Sparks, the Kings, the Chargers, Dodgers, Galaxy, Lakers, Rams, LAFC, the Clippers, heck, even the Anaheim Ducks and the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim and Angel City is donating. Sadly, LAFC is not donating just because they're not Los Angeles. And I guess they're including Anaheim just because the Anaheim Ducks, just because that's kind of borderline of it's kind of borderline of Los Angeles, even though it's not really Los Angeles. It's still Orange County, but well, it is what it is. So all in all, that is also another big W award right there, and I really have to pray for Maui. I hope everyone is staying safe, and to all my Set Point followers that are affected by the Maui fires, my heart is with y'all. Alright, but that is that for the Big W Awards. Now we have to get on into the Dum Dum of the Week. So the Dum Dum of the Week basically goes out to someone or any type of organization that does or says something stupid. So no one is safe from this award. Anybody can get this award. Basically, it could be my neighbor, it could be a random pigeon outside that is pooping on everybody. No one is safe from this award. So I actually have quite a number of Dum-Dums of the Week to give out. And this is an award that I kind of missed out on. So this one goes out to an organization. So sometimes people accidentally make mistakes. And sometimes it's not certain people's fault. So what this organization did was, okay, so it's play-by-play announcer via the radio said something via the teleprompter, and unfortunately he got suspended for it. And sadly, the Baltimore Orioles is that dum-dum. So I don't know the name of this Baltimore Orioles play-by-play announcer, but he said something via the teleprompter, and basically he got suspended for it via the Baltimore Orioles, and he should be back by now after he served his suspension. But honestly, he didn't do anything wrong. If anyone should be suspended, it's the guy on the teleprompter. The teleprompter guy was the one that forced him to basically say what he said. What's the play-by-play announcer supposed to do? Not read it and say, oh, I'm not going to read this, I'm going to get fired. It's either you get fined and not do your job, or you read it and then you get suspended. It's lose-lose. So the teleprompter guy should also be Dum-Dum of the Week, but I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. He should have probably gotten fired. Not fired. But he should have also gotten suspended or at least talked to. But the Baltimore Orioles suspending the play-by-play announcer just because he did something inexplicably wrong, which was not unintentional, is a big fat no-no. I really think that was not all his fault, and honestly, I just don't understand why the Orioles did that. I think if anyone is worthy of suspension, it's the teleprompter guy. I think they all should have just sat down and explained the situation instead of just saying, hey, play-by-play announcer, you can't just say that. You're gone. You got to get everyone's side of the story. It's I don't know if you all know this, but I've kind of been watching Law and Order, and you got to get everyone's side of the story. You can't just say, "Oh, this guy did it. Book him and send him to jail." Otherwise, the SVU unit would be a bunch of bad people, bad cops. But maybe it's just me watching too much Law and Order. Anyway, but for the Baltimore Orioles suspending their play-by-play announcer just because of something he didn't mean to do, which was not all his fault, the Baltimore Orioles, even though they're having a fantastic season because they have the second best record in the MLB, best record in the American League, what they did was incorrect, and now they've turned themselves into a meme, and I don't really know. It's I'm disappointed in the Orioles, and they should have handled the situation a whole lot better, but the Baltimore Orioles are this week's Dum-Dum of the Week because they did not handle the situation better, and honestly, I'm just so disappointed in that. So, bad Baltimore Orioles.
You are so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
But that's only the first of the Dum-Dums of the week. Now we have another Dum-Dum of the Week. So remember how I said that I couldn't watch the Chargers-Rams preseason game? I really wanted to watch that game. And sadly I couldn't get CBS because sadly I got rid of CBS via I'm blanking on one of my other television providers. It wasn't Sling, but it was Paramount Plus. And then the only television provider I had was Sling. And this game was available on the NFL Network, and I was able to watch, and it was available to watch. But unfortunately, since I lived in SoCal and Sling decided to be a complete pain in the neck, they decided to black out the Rams-Chrargers preseason game. Which, honestly, why? It's a preseason game. You don't need to black out any preseason game. If it was a regular season game or a postseason game, I understand. But it's a preseason game. You don't need to black out anything. The fact that you are blacking out a preseason game is ridiculous. That's so stupid. Sling, hello? Why any television provider would black out a preseason game is beyond misbelief. I'm just so disappointed in the fact that, honestly, a television provider would do that. It's just preseason, dude. So, I'm sorry, but Sling, you are dumb of the week just because you're blacking out a freaking preseason game. I don't care if it's preseason or not. We all want our football, whether it's preseason or not. So, give me my dang NFL, Sling, or you're going to be dumb of the week next week. So, Sling TV, this is a warning for you. You're dumb of the week this week, and if you don't clear this up, you're going to be dumb of the week next week. But I know that nothing is going to change for next week. So, Sling is dumb of the week this week for not letting me watch Rams Chargers just because of the stupid SoCal blackouting thing. Gosh dang it, Sling. Figure it out.
You are so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
I don't even think they deserve the Kawhi Leonard laugh. I just don't. I really don't. And now for the third dumb of the week. So this isn't kind of a big deal. This is kind of my first world problem. But let's just say this is kind of technology issues. So I don't know if you all come across some of these things on like social media, but sometimes on social media you'll get like a deal, like a food deal. So I came across a Domino's deal where you get a medium 2-topping pizza for free if you choose to order online via delivery. And as long as you enter a certain code. And I'm thinking, I want me a 2-topping medium pizza for free. It does not get better than that. And I'll just make it healthy. And I went to the Domino's website, and I'm thinking, yeah, I'm about to get myself a medium pizza. And it's delicious! There's just one problem. So I entered my 2 toppings, I entered my medium pizza, and it's all good, right? No. The Domino's website via Safari or Firefox or whatever it was on my phone wasn't working. Okay. Minor setback. So I decided to download the app even though I had deleted it previously. It froze. It froze when I entered that code. Yeah. Domino's that week wasn't going to let me order pizza. I've never been so disappointed in Domino's before. Now, again, maybe this is Domino's just telling me you are not going to gorge yourself in pizza. You are not going to basically, or maybe you shouldn't order pizza. But what is the point of giving people a free meal to feed their families when they're not going to be able to take advantage of it? Like, my goodness gracious, why? Domino's, please explain. And no, I'm not going to call the store because they're not going to be of much help. I'm sorry, but I'm fairly certain their customer service is not going to be as helpful. I think they're probably just going to type in the code, and then it's just going to be like, oh, nothing. So I'd rather type in the code myself, and then see my deal come up, and then hit enter, and then order the pizza for myself, and then eat it on my own. But instead, the Domino's website and the Domino's app decides to not work that week, and now I miss out on that week only. I lost out on a free 2-topping medium pizza. Oh, I'm so mad. But it's okay. Again, this is just my first world problems, and this is probably everyone's first world problems. And I've had this problem before where Domino's has these stupid rules where you actually have to meet certain requirements, but I digress. So, thanks Domino's website. I know technology can sometimes be a pain in the neck, but it is what it is. As we welcome J-Man of Spaced Out Sports into the chat room. Thank you for popping in. You're basically on time when it comes to Dum Dum of the Week, as I'm pretty much wrapping up here, but Domino's, please fix your website and fix your app. How are people supposed to take advantage of your deals when your app keeps crashing, when your website is basically telling you, we're sorry, but our website is not functioning at the moment. Please try again later or call this number. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to call no number. I want to order my pizza online, and I want it delivered to my house ASAP. Anyway, so for Domino's incompetence via the app and its website for making me miss out on a great, delicious deal, they are this week's Dum Dum of the Week as well. Shame on you, Domino's.
You are so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
And that, my friends, is all she wrote. Man, what's a guy got to do to basically get a decent meal around here? I mean, again, maybe it's maybe it's Domino's way of saying, no, you will not order this. Jay says, Little Caesars $5 hot and ready never fails. Yes, but I was going to get a free pizza. It doesn't get much better than free, but I digress. But that is something to recommend, so... But I'll keep that in mind, J-Man. And on that note, that's going to do it for this week's episode of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Ladies and gentlemen, before I lose my mind and before I get hungry, it is time for me to get on out of here. Because I kind of need a nap after I woke up at 4 a.m. and began work. Ya dig? Thank you everyone for tuning in to the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. I really do appreciate everybody tuning in. If you listen live, I appreciate you. If you listen on the playback, I appreciate you. If you listen at work, I appreciate you. If you listen at any time, any place, anywhere, I appreciate you. Shout out to everyone in the chat room. J-Man who popped in, Jen B, Larry B, Davidson Crooks, didn't forget about you. Angela Winstead, also didn't forget about you, and Christopher Lehman. I really do appreciate everybody making that chat room pop like popcorn. Side note, remember, SoCal Supreme Sports Show will most likely be on Thursday at noon instead of Friday at noon. And then also, Set Point will be on at approximately 10:30, if not maybe noon. That's because I've got a guest, and I've also have to PA announce later that day. So the PA announcing was kind of a last-minute deal for yesterday, but it is what it is. But until then, I also forgot to mention, Monterrey kicks off its season opener against Corona Centennial in the Frank McManus era. It's a new era, but Frank McManus has not been he hasn't been changing much when it came to that, as I'll be discussing a whole lot more of that tomorrow on 3 and Out College Edition with Larry B. But I got Monterrey winning that one against Corona Centennial. Get your popcorn ready if you're going to be at Corona Centennial. It's going to be a barn burner. But until then, have yourself a great rest of the evening. If you're in the Newport Beach area, be prepared for Hurricane Hillary. There is going to be tropical storms. Do be safe. Do stay indoors if need be. Do not water slide, because if you do, you will be dumb of the week. Or if you decide to water slide at all when it comes to Hurricane Hillary, you will be dumb of the week. I will see you all on Monday for the Season 5 premiere of Set Point. Thank you all once again for listening and for your support. I love you all. I will definitely stay safe. Have yourself a great weekend. And remember, SoCal is for SoCal. Peace!